Hi, my name's Samuel Marshall,
I'm Cade Cumbie.
and today we're going to be talking about divorce issues and financial planning. So, why is this an important topic? Well, money is the number two reason for divorce. So, divorce actually happens pretty often and it's becoming more and more common. Divorce can really complicate your financial life and has a lot of implications on your finances. So, it's good to know what kind of things will affect you in divorce. And when you're out there in the financial planning world, it's good to know to help clients. You know, you're probably going to deal with a lot of clients that go through these problems. So it's great to know these things ahead of time so you can help them deal with this aftermath. You know, they're already going through a tough time. So the first thing we're going to talk about is tax considerations. When you get divorced, you're going to have to change your filing status. Typically, most couples use married filing jointly. However, when you get divorced, so first of all, if you aren't divorced by the end of the year, you're allowed to do married filing separately. And that can help you get some of the married tax benefits. However, if you are divorced by the end of the year, you're going to have to do single or head of household if you have custody of the child and the child lives with you. If you don't have a child living in your house and you don't have any other dependents, you might have to just do single as your filing status, which will really affect the standard deduction that you get in your income taxes. Next, we're going to talk about tax credits. So, one of the tax credits that you might get if you have a child is the child tax credit, and that's something that will have to be divided depending on who has custody of the child. So again, it's what matters is who has custody of the child, and that can really have an impact on your income tax situation. And lastly, transfers of assets. So one good thing is that when you sell a house, which might happen in divorce, you're going to get a deduction for that up to $250,000. So that can be really beneficial. Also, all assets in divorce are not taxable. So it's not going to affect you tax-wise in divorce. Next, we're going to talk about retirement issues in divorce. So as you know, all assets are split in divorce, and that includes your retirement plans. So retirement plans can be forced by the court to be split between couples with a quadro or a qualified domestic relations order. This will split qualified plans. It does not affect IRAs. To get a quadro, you're going to have a lawyer, and that can incur a lot of costs and can take a lot of time. But in the end, retirement plans do have to be split in divorce. If a spouse does take that retirement plan and needs to liquidate some of the assets to fund their life, there could be potential penalties if they're not yet ready to take qualified distributions. Next, we'll talk about debt. So debt is going to depend on whose name is on the asset. So oftentimes with credit cards or personal loans, there's only going to be one person on the asset, and so it's going to be their responsibility to pay that debt. Mortgage debt. So mortgage debt, oftentimes both spouses are listed on the house. So here's some of the options that you have to kind of get around that debt issue. You could sell the house and split the profit and pay off that mortgage debt, or you could buy out a spouse. So you get out of the debt or the spouse gets out of the debt. Another option is just to pay off the debt before you get divorced, and that can really help some of the complications if that's an option. Next, we'll talk about auto loans. So auto loans can be really complicated if two people are listed on the loan because you can't really split a car. So you're probably going to have to buy out one or the other or make some kind of deal where one person gets the car. Lastly, medical and other personal debts. These debts can be, if you live in a community property debt or property state, it's the responsibility of both spouses to pay these debts unless they were acquired before they were married.
Next, we'll talk about alimony. An alimony payment is usually from the person who makes the most money, the person who is the one who provides all the funds for the family, and it's a payment to the financially dependent partner. It's not seen as a punishment or a reimbursement. It's usually taxed as ordinary income. And this is important for financial planners because their clients are going to need to know how to make these payments and the best way to plan for making these payments. And if you have a client who is receiving these, they need to know how to spend them and where to put them, and how these payments can psychologically affect both parties. And then insurance after divorce. So with life insurance, usually uh, the you have to have life insurance in case the person who's making the alimony money, for example, dies. The dependent partner loses that source of income. So they'll usually have a life insurance policy to cover those payments. And then with health insurance, if they're covered under their ex-spouse's insurance, they're covered under COBRA and they can be under that insurance for up to 3 years. And then with estate planning, uh, the law usually says that the ex-spouse is ineffective after the divorce when when the divorce happens in your will. The trust also uh, the trust also is the same way, but it's gone once it's filed, not at the or once it's filed, not at the when the divorce actually goes through. The power of attorney also needs to be changed because you don't need to have your ex-spouse making decisions on your behalf. And then another big issue is marital asset dissipation. This is when a spouse uses money or assets in anticipation of the divorce. So they'll spend money on a lot of times drugs or alcohol. They'll spend on an extramarital affair they may be having, and or they might stop making mortgage payments. And then in other ways, they'll just start giving assets away to their friends. In conclusion, knowing all the issues that comes along with divorce is important because it causes a lot of headaches. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's just going to make those headaches even worse. You can help save money for clients because divorce is very expensive, and you can avoid future issues if you have it planned out correctly. That's why it's so important to have a CDFA help you plan out your divorce. Okay.